Anytime that there's a recession and layoffs can happen, the person who relies on their own personal assets and doesn't own performing cash flowing assets is at the most risk. Because if the only way you have to make money is selling your life 1 hour at a time, what do you do when nobody's buying?
Yeah.
Versus if we look at the last 6 recessions, 4 out of those 6 recessions, home values went up.
I am hearing from more and more folks that are concerned about the economy. I want to talk to 2 other folks, myself included, makes 3 folks who are financially free. All of us came from very little to have more than we deserve, more than we need. But I want to talk about now, what are we telling people that are concerned about the economy? What should they do? What should they not do? We're going to play a game called ping pong where we go around the table 2 or 3 times, hopefully giving you actionable information to help you be just a little bit less concerned. But more importantly, get ready and hopefully take action. Because again, it is proven time and time again, the best deals are done in scary environments. Dion, you joined first. I always go in the order that people showed up. So what's the first thing you tell people if they're concerned about the economy?
Well, I think you triggered a memory when you said that we are possibly doing better than we deserve. Because that's the answer Dave Ramsey gives, I think, when somebody says, "How are you doing, Dave?" He goes, "Better than I deserve." And I have to attribute some of the confidence that I have coming into whatever instability there is or possible recession or whatever could happen in the future to Dave Ramsey's teaching. I have no credit card debt, no car loan debt, no student loan debt. Like, I got rid of all of the bad debt that he talks about. Coming into uncertain times, if you have things like bad debt, credit card debt, what can you do to first focus on not creating more?
Yes.
Second, prioritize paying down what I call worse debt. And that's anything with a high interest rate, adjustable interest rate, or an upcoming balloon payment or loan reevaluation period, or anything that can make a change in interest rates or a change in your employment or a change in the economy tank you in a year or 2.
Yeah, I think that's wise advice. And again, I want to be very clear. There was times when I frankly didn't get Dave Ramsey because I unfortunately just focused on his real estate stance. I didn't really understand the genius. I've been lucky enough to see him in person, and I think he's one of the most important people for the average American financial education. His debt snowball, his all of that stuff. I agree with you. I think if you're out there and you're nervous, I think Dave Ramsey has something for you. I think that's a great place to start. Matt, what do you got for number 1?
Fuel what feeds you. Everything that we did when we were struggling with money, we would sacrifice and do everything that we could to fuel what would feed us. And that was, making a nicer rental property, making sure that we took care of things so we didn't have an insurance claim or get sued. All of the things that you're doing need to be, your money is fuel. And how are you using that fuel? You need to use it to feed you. And if it's just buying a meal, that's probably not the best thing. If it's just buying a vacation or the next thing or the, whatever, fill in the blank. We all have stuff. For me, it's sports cards, but I buy all the things because of the investments that I made that now feed me today, and that's a big meal. So I would encourage people that they need to focus on, fueling what feeds them. And you only have so much cash. You only have so much time. And so whatever it is you're creating with your cash and your time, make sure it's something that's going to feed you, later.
I like that one as well. Again, when scary times come, you've got to become even more focused on what's actionable. So I think that's a great place. I guess the first one I'll start with is you always have to protect your mindset. I mean, this is something Adrian Hernandez is always talking to me about, right? What kind of information are you consuming? And I got to tell you, if you're already scared and you're consuming content that makes you more scared, that's on you, right? You've got to watch your emotional EQ. You've got to watch what you're consuming. Typically being afraid and then becoming more afraid is not good for you, right? Then everything breaks down, right? And not only are you stressed about money, then you can't sleep, and then your relationships. But again, in a world where there is ever endless supply of new content, and oh, by the way, please, folks, never forget the magic of YouTube. If you want to grow fast, produce doom. If you want to produce impact, talk about opportunity. One will get you rich or have you get paid a lot, aka doomers, who honestly don't care about you. They do not care about you. They are paying their mortgage on your fear. Stop watching them. Now, again, I like to think the daily financial news, something I've had for 4 years now, is kind of middle of the road. Yes, we talk about scary things, but hopefully you see, I always tell you where the opportunity is. So again, watch who you are consuming is my first one. Dion?
Every time somebody talks to me about a recession, a depression, layoffs, or anything that says, I'm scared of the future, my concern always goes back to the same person. And we all have assets. Some of us, it's personality. Some of us, it's a job skill set. We've got a degree, we've got experience, we've got a trade. Anytime that there's a recession and layoffs can happen, the person who relies on their own personal assets and doesn't own performing cash flowing assets is at the most risk. Because if the only way you have to make money is selling your life 1 hour at a time, what do you do when nobody's buying?
Yeah.
Versus if we look at the last 6 recessions, 4 out of those 6 recessions, home values went up. Most recessions that I've ever researched, rents go up. More people that don't buy houses, more people that lose their houses become renters, increasing demand on rentals already existing. So my concern is never, well, not never. It's usually not the person who owns assets.
Yeah.
The person who's over-levered, who has revolving debt, who has adjustable rate interest, who is taking those giant risks with their whole portfolio, not just a really small portion of it that they can handle blowing up in their face. I'm most concerned with most of the people I know who say investing is gambling, real estate's too much work, stocks is too risky, too volatile. So they just put their head down, they put some money in their retirement account, and they have their job. And what do they end up doing? Time after time, I ran a business for the last decade. Every time there was a financial hardship in somebody's life, they'd empty their retirement account.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that you brought that one up. I'm reminded of Ryan Pineda, who I think last year, might have been the year, I guess it was 22. He lost like $1 million on flips. And he actually highlighted that he was happy he had rentals because he used them as a piggy bank. Some he got loans on, some he sold. And it really just gets you through the hard times. And you're absolutely right. The more assets that you have, they are that piggy bank if you need them. So having more than just a 401k is provides you better optionality. I love that one. Matt, what do you got for number 2?
Sleep less. Sleep less.
Tell me more.
Do more. Sleep less, do more. If you're going to be rolling over in your bed and waking up at 2:00 in the morning with all this angst, I promise you think, well, no, I really need my sleep. You're waking up an asshole anyway because you're stressed out. So you're better off investing that time, going to bed completely exhausted, thinking about the fact that you're working on 4 hours of sleep. You're going to be short-tempered anyway. Be short-tempered because you put it and unloaded and put a bunch of fuel in the tank, not because you stayed up tossing and turning because you're wrapped around the axle because you keep on trying to keep up with the Joneses and people that don't care about you. People really lose focus on tactically what to accomplish. And it doesn't matter what thing you're interested in, try and learn it. Spend 100 hours trying to learn something. Very often we're talking a couple hours a day and people are like, oh, well, yeah, you spent all that time away from your family. No, I didn't. I would finish work at 5 or 5:30. I would spend time with my kids. I spend time with my wife. My wife goes to bed at 9 or 9:30. And then from 9:30 to midnight, it was back on. I was back learning, back doing, back figuring things out. That's still when I work today. I'm so broken that I haven't fixed that piece of me yet. When she goes to bed, I actually relax doing work. I relax with figuring things out and being like, all right, what's the next project and where can we maximize this? And then I go to bed with things off my mind, feeling rested and knowing that I've handled the work of the day and the business of the company. I don't do very much work during the day. I just don't. It's weird. I meet with some contractors here and there, and stop off at places that are open 9 to 5. How dare they? Like banks. But again, a majority of that time, that 9:30 to midnight or 10 to midnight, sleep less. It's overrated, especially in your 20s and especially in your 30s, maybe your 40s. It starts to change a little bit, but how else do you get ahead? Trying to create margin during your normal day at work or things like that. You still need to give your best effort. If you're in a job, you still owe that employer the best effort.
No, absolutely right. I'm reminded of stuff that Alex Hormozy says all the time. Christopher Williamson or Chris Williamson says all the time. I think it's something like the magic you're looking for is in the work you're not doing. Something like that.
Probably. Yeah, sounds
And
right.
I'm like, wow. Wow, that's pretty amazing. So number 2 for me is I think a lot of people just need to change their orientation. What do I mean by that? I think again, back to my first one, right? Watch, be careful of who you're watching. The next one is just remember this. The average American, frankly, the average citizen around the world is feeling the exact same way you are. What you should be doing is going, okay, what dumb shit are they going to do that allows me to create an opportunity that I can go crush? Now, again, all three of us happen to be very much real estate focused. But again, this could be anything. If your passion is sports cards, to take something Matt talked about, or classic cars, or art, or wine, or whatever, there are going to be a lot of stimulus ballers who overpaid for this thing in the last 3 or 4 years that need to raise cash and raise cash quickly. Suddenly that Jordan rookie card that's graded a 9 isn't worth 10 grand. It's worth 5 grand. And I'm just making that up. I have no idea.
No, sure. Yep.
But if you are into something, a recession, or even if the recession never gets called, simply the fact that the consumer is so scared, and again, the average person is, you can find the corners and just ball out.
Yes.
Right. This is the opportunity of a lifetime. I've always told you when I talk one rental at a time, learn average, do good or great deals.
Right.
This is a buyer's market. I want to be very clear. I want you to do the deal of the decade or the deal of a lifetime. Most people watching this have enough scratch to do one deal. It's time to get one of those deals you talk about in 10 years. That's what I want you to be thinking about. Now, again, that applies to sports cards and wine and art and classic cars or whatever your thing is. Mm-hmm. But that's the mindset I want you to be. Think opportunity. Think deal of a decade. Think deal of a lifetime. And suddenly you smile when you see people freaking out and nervous. So let's go around one more time. Dion, what do you got for number 3?
Okay, I'll try to do the Cliff Notes version and make this as quick as possible. The problem with economics is exactly the same problem I have with relationships.
Oh, shit.
Everybody has a long list. It'll be a quick list, though. Most people have this mentality that this time it's different.
Right.
So in 2011, I really start saving. And in 2013, people are telling me home prices are above where they were in 2008. It has to crash. It's different now because we were at the bottom of the market. So I bought a rental. In 2015, everybody said, you're lucky you bought in 2013 because this time it's different. All the baby boomers are about to retire. The silver tsunami is going to cause a crash. So I bought a rental. In 2018, everybody said, this time it's different. Home prices have continued to go up. And now interest rates are 7 or 8%. It has to crash. It's unsustainable. So I bought a rental. In 2020, everybody was saying, I was lucky I bought in 2018 because now there's a pandemic, a stock market crash, an eviction moratorium. People don't have to pay their rents and you can't kick them out. This time it's different. So I bought a rental. Then I emptied my retirement accounts and bought another rental. In 2021, everybody was saying, forbearance is ending. This has never happened on this scale before. It's going to crash. This time it's different. So I bought a rental. In 2023, interest rates tripled from where they were in 2020. And everybody said it's different this time. We're going to have a recession because prices are still high. Interest rates have tripled. It has to crash. I bought a rental. In 2025, right now, you have the opportunity to buy a rental. And in 2027, here's why everybody's going to tell you you're lucky. Because right now, everyone's saying it's different. We have tariffs. We've never had this before. We could have a recession coming. It's different this time. In 2027, everybody's going to be saying, you're only lucky because you bought in 2025, because in 2025, there's no new builds starting. They started in 2021 with low interest rates, and they came around in 24 and 25 when they were finished. So rents softened. In 2027, when we don't have all the new builds coming online, what do you think is going to happen to rents? And what do you think is going to happen to your return on investment 2 years from now when you can buy this year and realize it's not different? It's just the same fear with a different name every time.
Yeah, it's really interesting to me, having studied the consumer for 20 or 30 years. I'm often asking myself this time is, has social media and the fact that doom porn is a high paid business, did it accentuate this? And I'm not sure it did. I think the average consumer always thinks this time is different and is always fear based, because I think most people want permission to do nothing. And the two of you, myself included, we never give people permission to do nothing. In fact, we're pretty adamant that you better do something, get a buy box, look every day, yada, yada, yada. But yeah, I love that one. Matt, what do you got for the last one?
Yeah. Get out of the boat. If you're not going to row, get out of the boat.
Out of the boat. Yeah, exactly.
Out of the boat. And if not, I'll just toss you in. So this is one that I made a mistake on. I think, Zub, you and I agree that I both made mistakes on this one for a long time. I made a mistake on it for much longer. And that was and this isn't a slight on Dan. I love him. And everybody makes the mistake that thinking that MLS is easy.
Yeah.
MLS is not easy. It shows up in your inbox. It's lazy. But it's not easy. It shows up in your inbox. You're like, all right, I'm going to take a look at my properties today. All right. Yeah, that's kind of the thing. Right. It's easy to see it. It's easy to walk it. It's easy to, do the numbers based on what they show. Those are what Mike and I would call in our sales business. Those were the posers. Those were the clock punchers.
Right.
And the issue was they were always, around quota, maybe plus or minus, but then they would struggle because of their phone stopped ringing. And that's what MLS is. MLS is the version of your phone ringing. And you're not doing anything. It's purely a market mechanic. You're not doing anything. You're not causing it. It's happening to you. And the biggest and the worst mistake that I made in my business was not doing exactly what I did for a living, which was cold calling it, crushing it, warm calling it, getting intros. That was the difference of me being an elite rep for an executive for 25 years. And I was such an idiot that in the first 15 years, I didn't do that. I didn't do it. I was just like, no, like MLS is cool. And I was still small. After 10 years, I only had 5 buildings, wasn't big. And so I'm looking at it and I'm like, that cost me, because I was buying MLS in 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013. And then I got my first off market deal where I was working with my agent and negotiating with them, but off market. And I'm like, shit, this is actually kind of cool. I kind of get to bring them the number and set the price and hear what their price is and what they're trying to justify. But your best deals are the ones that you make, not the ones you buy off of MLS.
Yeah.
And
I couldn't agree more. Yeah.
For you, are your best deals through wholesalers, relationships, and banks, or through the MLS?
I've certainly, to your point, right? The first 7 or 8 years of my career, I like you, I just told myself there wasn't another option. I had a whole bunch of excuses. I was a sales guy too, and I knew where the best deals were. I was just like, no time. This is easy on the phone, yada, yada, yada. But yeah, I would say, certainly 4 of my top 5 deals were, off market with, an exception being one I tracked for, like Moby Dick, tracked the white whale for a couple of years on the MLS. That one wasn't bad. But yeah, I think there's a lot there. And it's funny you bring that up. I just had Property Radar, the CEO of Property Radar, on in our school community. I think it was last weekend. It might have been 2 weekends ago, where we talked about how somebody could take this buy box concept that we talk about all the time here and really light up direct mail, right? Just do 10, 15, 16 pieces when something hits. And I think it's going to change the game, because if you can, right, that's what I would have done if I was working. I would have had a tight criteria, the Mayfair district. And when something hit, I'd want to send them a postcard, right? I'm not Jason Pritchard or Adrian Hernandez with $30,000 or $50,000 marketing budgets. But you know what? I can send 17 pieces a week. I can send 25 pieces. And Property Radar allows them to do that. And there's a link. I'll probably put a link below if you want to try it out.
Nice.
For free for a while. So the last one I will highlight for folks is this too will pass. One of the things that I've learned in economics and studying it for 50 years is it's just cycles, right? And the more that you can stay even keeled that's kind of the key to life. Never too high, never too low. And that's, the last couple of years, there's a lot of people that have been, a lot of pretenders flying high that are now going to go broke because they didn't really have a business. They just got lucky with timing.
Right.
The second thing I would tell people that I really want people to get is, if I was starting a career in mortgage or real estate or like selling cars, whatever it is, I would much rather start today than 2021.
Yeah.
Right. You'll get training. You'll get some of that. You'll build a callus. You'll become, you'll do the hard work. In 2021, a lot of bad habits were created. A lot of people that started in 2021 made a lot of money, but they'll be washed out if they're not already. So again, I want people to remember the opportunity that's coming. And oh, by the way, if you're anywhere below 65, I want to tell you one last thing. This won't be the last recession. This won't be the last downturn.
No.
I've experienced 3, 4, 5 of them in my adult life. And the first one was scary. The second, third, fourth one, I made a lot of money because they're just part of the process. Dion, where can people find you?
Right here on YouTube, Dion Talk Financial Freedom, where I do a live stream every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific, where sometimes I just think up topics to irritate Matt.
Matt, where can they find you?
Sometimes, well, they can always find me on Lumberjack Landlord, 9 p.m. Eastern time on Thursdays, but sometimes I'll actually show up late, letting Dion go first so I can hear what crazy idea he has so I can then react to it because I know it's going to annoy me. And if he says it after, then I have no chance to rebut. So
There you go.
Thanks, Dion.
Guys, you're amazing. Take care. Thanks again.